House put up hoardings last October and the first crane arrived on site, some people said, surely it wasn't that long ago this building was completely redeveloped. In fact, that refurbishment was completed in 1999 to plans that largely originated from the 1980s. And as we all know, during the intervening years, the expectations of audiences has undergone a seismic shift. No longer do they just expect inspiring auditoriums, thought-provoking and mesmerizing performances, and world-class artists. Now, there's an anticipation, a demand even, for the experience to start way before the orchestra tunes up. The project at the Royal Opera House is named Open Up, and that describes the physical nature of the endeavour, making the public space within our foyers larger, but also improving the legibility of the building from the outside. Perhaps more importantly, Open Up signals a philosophical and behavioural change in becoming a more accessible and open organisation and a visitor destination, one that invites people to engage in opera and ballet without necessarily setting foot in the auditorium. As project director, my task is to turn an organisation that has a fabulous reputation for looking after its audiences into one that delivers a memorable visitor experience to everyone that steps inside. I'm sure we all face this same challenge, and it's made ever more demanding these days given that commercial businesses are setting the bar pretty high in the experiential approach. And I figure this matters because it's where our customers are when they're not with us. So today, I'm going to share with you some thoughts about what I believe constitutes adopting a visitor experience that's beyond just the customer service essentials. Some of the elements that I'm focusing on to get there, and some of the companies I'm looking to for inspiration. Companies I believe are establishing the new normal in terms of visitor expectation. So how did customer care turn into experience, and what the heck's the difference? Well, when I first started working in an arts organisation, and just a word of warning, that was a very long time ago, the emphasis was almost entirely on being able to use the computerized ticketing system. Actually, we'd only just put away our big paper plans and colouring pens. And I reflected last night that amongst all the digital wizardry we've been talking about here, I can't help thinking somewhere there must be somebody wanting to get those out again and rename it mindfulness ticketing. Anyway, how one talked to and helped supported the customer was pretty secondary, and certainly not something that was talked about much when learning the job. When it was considered, it was via a pretty simplistic customer care mantra of, well, treat people as you'd want to be treated yourself. Deep, eh? In the years that followed, of course, customer service standards became essential for making every organisation successful. But thinking about the experience that I'm trying to create, I think it's as much about what as it is about how. Because I believe that a compelling experience, the service element is just one element of a holistic approach to the entire customer journey, every touch point, every encounter, and not just in that moment, but across the lifespan of a customer's relationship with an organisation. So these two definitions would suggest that customer service is something you provide, whereas customer experience is a two-way interactive engagement that's about forming a relationship. In their book, The Experience Economy, the authors Pine and Gilmore describe a shift in retail approach using a cake analogy. They say, in the agrarian economy, a parent made their child's birthday cake from a list of ingredients. In the industrial economy, the convenience of buying a cake mix had significant value. When it came to the service economy, having a distinctive cake made for your kid by a specialist baker was the way to go. But in the recent experience economy, well, parents outsource the entire celebration to a third party and the cake is thrown in for free. Interestingly, when they discuss the performance model approach to experience making, the authors describe how some of the most forward-thinking and successful service-based businesses who thrive in the experience economy actually do so using theatrical techniques. In this model, the shop floor, the dining room, the showroom is the stage and the set. The processes and pitch are a script, the staff the acting company, and the goods almost like props. Think Nike Town. And whilst this is partly about differentiation, such experiential tactics are designed with one thing at their heart: to create memories and to form relationships. They go on to say that companies who really make this work consider what that experience would look like if the customer was paying for it. It's an interesting thought. If someone were to walk into a hotel, a restaurant, a shop, or a theatre and pay for the experience outside of the room, the meal, the products, or in our case, the auditorium, what would that experience need to look like to be worthy of an admission charge, to deliver value, and to have hordes of fans returning and recommending? The question is a helpful test as I approach redefining visitor experience at the Royal Opera House. The refurbishment of the public spaces and foyers with new bars, restaurants, retail outlets, and all the supporting facilities gives us a new stage in which to set our scene. And it's my job to make sure that our content and our approach adds up to a free experience that's worthy of a ticket. We secure very healthy audiences, but we sit within Covent Garden, a popular London destination that attracts some 40 million visitors a year. The opportunity to extend our reach is irresistible. Engaging those visitors right on our doorstep and recognizing our role in the cultural fabric of the capital and beyond is essential, and it ensures that opera and ballet maintain their relevance long into the future. It's also good business sense. So how am I approaching this task? Well, I believe I need to concentrate on the following areas. So let's look at each of these in turn. From the product in the shop to the menu in the cafe, from pop-up performances to exhibitions, or the windows through which you'll be able to get a glimpse of a rehearsal, or the interactive screens that will give access to rich content and our collection, our brief needs to answer one particular question: how do we want people to feel? And to achieve that, we need to consider what we want them to take away as an experience of visiting and engaging with the ROH, so that every encounter has meaning. An important element, of course, is telling stories, allowing the voices of artists, makers, and interpreters to be heard throughout the building. So perhaps a costume display includes footage of it being worn in a performance, alongside content where you can meet the costume maker and hear about how they made it, or the artist having their final fitting. These human behind-the-scenes stories are essential in us opening ourselves up. We also need to be clear about how our brand personality, our tone, and our values are delivered, ensuring that they're consistent and coherent. Our staff play a key role in how people feel in our building, so we need to allow them to be themselves. Those two ideas may seem at odds, but I think it's possible to have consistently brilliant individuals in a team of people differently focused on the same outcome. Getting to exactly what that is going to involve a lot of conversations with staff, but also, crucially, with our contractors and our partners. Another thing for me which defines a visitor experience is a carefully considered design of the end-to-end journey. To do that authentically, we have to place ourselves in our visitors' shoes and be prepared to challenge structures, reporting lines, roles, uniforms, desks, the lot. We're using examples like this one of an imaginary persona to design the specifics of the experience, to test our ideas and to spark what is often a very lively debate about what each customer group wants from us and what they need from us, crucially thinking about it that way around. I think one of the most valuable things a truly holistic visitor experience can deliver, especially within a theatre setting, is time. Time for people to do what they want to do rather than just what they need to do in the run-up to a performance or during the interval. So we need to consider putting our box office, cloakroom, bar and retail services where and when they're needed along a range of visitor journeys. In some cases, that's going to mean joining things together where they currently happen at different locations or by different staff. And it'll certainly mean integrating systems that currently work in isolation. The more we know about our customers, the more we can hone the experience we want to give them. Linking systems, centralizing data sources, and blending channel configurations is just the first part of that. But ensuring that we're analyzing and learning from that data to drive decision and development is where true transformation lies. So some of the things I find myself thinking about when moving from a service idea to an experience are the following. Questioning the pointed finger. Every time a member of staff has to say, you just need to go over there, or see my colleague, or no, next window along, I want to know what it would take to be able to answer that question right on the spot. I bet I'm not alone in getting frustrated trying to find the right person in a department store when you hear phrases like, I don't know, I don't work in shoes. And there's my retail therapy of choice. Well, what would it take for everyone to know enough about everything so that they could always help, at least initially? I wonder how many of us still have systems that work something like this. Press 1 for ticket sales, 2 for information, and 3 if you've already purchased a ticket and require additional assistance. And how many customers are out there thinking, I've got 2 tickets for tomorrow night, I want another one, I need to ask a question, I have no idea which option I am. All our staff work in the information team. It's not a specific department, it's not a different option, and it's certainly not a separate window. My next thought is about digital thinking in the real world. I bet everyone in this room has spent a lot of energy, time, and money developing their online channel recently. And as a result, on-site experiences have perhaps taken a bit of a back seat. And yet most of us have trained our customers to shop in one basket. There's a tendency when they arrive on site, everything's scattered again. I can't help but think that designing a memorable visitor experience has as much in common with web development, because in the physical environment, everything needs to be as intuitive and engaging as it is online, combining the obvious with the serendipitous. Menu options convert to displays and signage, purchase paths to transactional logic, one basket propositions to integrated services, and the balance of self-service with staff interaction, similar to help and web chat. It's as crucial that each of these is in the right place within the physical journey as it is online. So this is another technique we're using to help our thinking. I could plan a lot of change over the next 2 years and then flip a switch when the building work is completed and say, hey presto, we're an experience. But I'm certain it would be a spectacular flop. So one of my challenges is to trial elements of what needs to shift whilst we're under construction. Testing as we go requires an agile approach, and it means change will happen with staff rather than to them. Moreover, it enables us to rehearse, to make mistakes, and make it better. This isn't a project that sits purely within the front-facing teams. It demands that we further develop our learning and participation program, our retail strategy, a new range of catering options, our communications messaging, our marketing pitch, the digital presence within our building, as well as, of course, all the practical matters of IT support, facilities cover, and security oversight. And of course, it needs serious HR support and investment. But our companies, the Royal Opera and the Royal Ballet, are also partners in this endeavour. It is, after all, their work that sets the gold standard, and their artists that provide so much of the rich content that we want to share more widely outside the auditorium. So who do I look to for my inspiration? Arguably, Apple has made us all reconsider what we thought we knew and loved about shopping. It seems to me at the core of that business is experience, of using the products, of visiting a store, of engaging with staff. Form and function, curiosity and play, discovery and empowerment, they exist for me across all things Apple. Interestingly, their approach to their retail took its inspiration from hotels. They wanted to create an environment which encouraged you to slow down, to lose all sense of time, and therefore to dwell for hours. Two different but equally experience-focused companies are British Airways and Virgin Atlantic. Ostensibly, they're both providing the same service, taking you from A to B, but they have quite different experiences. BA has trust writ large. Everything from their brand colours to their advertising to the onboard service says you're in very safe hands. Virgin Atlantic is no less safe, but the experience is more contemporary. It's aspirational, cool even. On a lucky upgrade, I considered for a second accidentally losing the salt and pepper pots in my bag, only to discover that written on the bottom was the caption, stolen from Virgin Atlantic. It spoke volumes. The UK department store John Lewis are another brand I admire. Their ability to consistently blend an experience across every channel, transaction, store, and member of staff is very impressive. And I also like the way they've made their communications part of that same brand experience. Indeed, their Christmas adverts have become mini experiences in their own right, with their own promotional campaigns, merchandise, pop-up stores, and events. Back at the Royal Opera House, there is an awful lot to design, test, roll out, fine-tune, and embed. How we use a new building, how we create a series of engaging moments that add up to a compelling experience, and how we dovetail all of that with the many things we do now that ensure we look after our customers night after night. Our success will be measured not so much in how the new spaces look, but how they make people feel. We're thinking not so much about what we're pushing out to the new visitor, but how we pull them into the building and into a dialogue with us. And that means answering what's on offer for a wide range of visitors across these criteria. That it's a place where you can just be, that there are things to see, things to do, there are places to go, there are new things to learn, there are social activities to share, and there are fun and unexpected things to enjoy. All of these, I believe, will add up to an experience to remember, within what will now be a visitor destination that's moved way beyond our opera and theatre ballet. This project is not about fixing something that's broken. There isn't a crisis to overcome. But it's much more compelling than that, because it's about redefining what constitutes successful. Of course, ticket sales and bottom line results remain a big part, and critical acclaim and positive audience reaction will always be crucial. Extending our reach through cinema, digital content, and outreach projects will still be there on the scorecard. But from late 2018 onwards, we'll add the engagement and the return of thousands of visitors each week, proving, I hope, that we've truly opened up. Thank you.